Hey there everybody, welcome to the stream. My name is Chucky and today we'll be doing some Roll20 tutorials and map creating. Okay, let's tune that music just a bit down, leave it there in the background, and let's talk Roll20. So guys, this is mainly a thing I'm doing also for the group of the Gems of Power, so just doing a video that I'll be posting on YouTube so they can check it out, because with the rotative DM format and a couple of new players, they will benefit from just a drop of information to how to use this system, because they've never had before. So let me do a monitor capture over on here. Sorry again for being late, just got myself a haircut, so that's why I was just a teensy bit late. There we go. And now let's look on Roll20, guys. And let's start from the beginning. So we're gonna go as if we've never used this before and figure out how it goes. We're gonna be using the normal app Roll20, not the developer servers, which in this case shouldn't really make much of a difference. But nonetheless, we're gonna create a new campaign. Okay, now we have a couple of nice features over on here. We're gonna name this test, and the only two things that are very important about this, what you need to remember, is that you can select a preset, a template for your character sheet. This can be changed at a later date, but usually these are pretty good to they help you around, especially with, for example, Dungeons and Dragons, because that is the most popular edition out there, and you have a lot of Dungeons and Dragons assets here that you can use, especially in character sheets. Interactable, self-fillable, so that's why especially these are extremely useful for somebody who has never used Roll20 before, and for a new DM who wants to have all of the character sheets in one place. And hello everybody, by the way, in chat, Kelly Noax, Jeff and Kahoot, DM for the win. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. How's it going? And besides that, we have the chosen modules. Usually you won't need to do the chosen modules, but some of them are pretty cool. Some of them you need to buy, some of them are free to use. I think that besides this one that you get for free, everybody, everything else over on here is something that you can buy. Some of them are good. I myself know about the Simple System actually being a good one, and the Quiet Year is a pretty fun game. Everybody else I don't really know. Now let's go and continue on with start a blank campaign. So we have a Dungeon 5e edition character sheet. We're going to be using that one. Stefan Root. I tried and say Korat. I'm just going to call you Kakarot from now. Okay, and now we're going to go over the features and things that you can do in Roll20 itself. So in this campaign we're the DM, as you probably want to be if you want to use all the features. As a player you won't need to do much. Let's look through what Roll20 offers. Let's go through the toolbar first, and after that I'm going to show you the map editing options that you have here. So this is the chat, of course. You have your regular commands, /r, so /roll, 1d, that's a 1 dice, and the faces of it. So you have any number of, if you can see that over under, I'm just typing a asterisk, so any number of dices with any number of faces. This is all very simple. Again, we're just going through all of it. Next in line after this we have a very interesting feature that Roll20 is quite unique of, the art library. Not only can you can upload your own stuff by pressing the little star over on here. Your library, these are all taken from several places and you can add them in and use them. Besides that, you have your purchases, which this is the marketplace. I'm not going to go through the marketplace right now because I want to do that when we go into the map making section of our video. But at the moment you just need to remember that everything that you purchase from the marketplace in Roll20 can be found in here. And besides that, the upload button. Okay, so let's see what this search over on here is. You have a couple of places where you can search in Roll20. You have your tokens, your map tiles and textures, your portraits, and everything else. Tokens is, as you could expect, tokens majorly available on Roll20. If you are paying a mentor account, so you're basically paying a monthly subscription, you will get a very big number of free assets. But also, if you're not paying a mentor account and you're not interested in doing that, you can find a lot of free tokens around the internet. So let's go and type in Goblin. So inbuilt items are what you're gonna find from Roll20. These are the ones that I get free because I pay a mentor account, and some that I have bought over on here. And now let's see, these are from the web. So you can find several ones over on here. One of the only issues with the ones from the web is the fact that they have white backgrounds. So I'm gonna show you that by changing the background color of the map itself. These ones don't have a white background, but you're gonna find a lot of them. I think, for example, this one. Nope, actually not the background, not white background as well. Well, it seems like we can't get an example. Well, it's pretty simple to find one that will not really look that good, but you can still use it. So if you're not interested in the aesthetics of it, you can use them, even with a white background. I know a lot of DMs and players do it. I myself don't really necessarily like it. Okay, besides that, you have map, tiles, textures, and portraits. Exactly what they mean. If you search for Goblin in the map, tiles, and textures, you're not going to find the same thing. Map, tiles, and textures, you're going to find the map, the Goblin homes, the Grand Goblin Lodge, and so on, because these are maps. Another couple that I don't have and you can buy on Roll20, and again, maps on the internet. The internet results usually don't change that much. There are a couple that change around. Besides that, same for portraits. You get portraits from the internet. You get all the tokens from the tokens tab. And usually the best way to search is through tokens. That's what I experienced, that tokens usually gives you everything that you need and want from the internet, especially from the internet, if you're not paying a mentor account. And over on here, from everything, you'll basically find what you would find if you typed in Goblin on any Google and went onto images. Besides that, that is all that the iRoll library has to offer. So now let's go into another nice feature over on here. This is a very cool feature of Roll20, and the feature is called Journal. So what the journal does is that as a DM, you can add a lot of information over on here. Basically, Roll20 is made so that you don't actually need anything else but Roll20 to actually create a campaign, use it, and do anything you want in the certain campaign. You don't need Skype, you don't need everything. It is maybe better quality, and in my opinion, to use not the inbuilt video and audio devices, because we're gonna get into that as well. But my experience has been that it's not the greatest system. But overall, Roll20 offers a single experience that you can encompass everything that you see on an online role-playing show, for example. Okay, so let's see journal. You have 3 different things you can add. You can add a folder, you can add a character, or a handout. So let's see character. What a character will do is that it will produce a random name, usually very weird ones, and we're going to name this test. Now, test can be attributed to my account if I was a player, or any other player who has joined the campaign, or all players. Okay, so what this means is that if you put it in all players, it will appear in all players' journal. They can see it, but they can't edit it. If you want to put it controlled by, so everybody sees it, but only the certain player can edit it. That is how you do it. Besides that, there are a couple of other features over on here that are pretty interesting. You can add a small image that will appear over on here, so you can recognize your character sheet easier. Or you can use a token. So if we can go into the Goblin tab over on here and take ourselves a Goblin. Now this is going to be our token. We use the selected token. This is our token. This is the Goblin test. There we go. This is the Goblin test. Now he will appear with this blue bubble. meaning that he can be seen by Gobbling. Doesn't matter. Can be seen by everybody, but you can only edit it. I myself can only edit it because I am the one put in here, and the DM of course, which in this case I am both. But the player would not see the GM notes, for example, and would be able to see the bottom info and edit it. Okay, so let's continue on in the character sheet and let's see what else do we have. We have the character sheet over on here, right next to it, and this is your character sheet. This is the characters. All the information you need about the character besides the role-playing ones. A fat dog sound, no. I do not... Sierran Boyle, I do not know who that is or what that is. Also guys, if you have any questions as we go on with this, feel free to ask in chat and I'll try and answer. We're going to go through all of the features that Roll20 offers, and we're going to continue on and do some map creating after that to see how the assets actually work. And for example, if you want to create an inbuilt map and not draw all your own. Okay, so gambling test. You have a character name here, and you can just fill in all of these layers over on here. Languages. We can speak Goblin. Class. We are a fighter. Let's see, fighter. There's several different character sheets. This is one of the easier ones. There are character sheets that have pages, tens of pages that you can use. Character sheets who are smaller, but overall a character sheet is pretty simple to use. You can see the stats, the intelligence, strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, and well, let's edit one of those. So let's go over on in here and write in our strength. We're gonna give this guy a 12 strength. Okay, 10. This doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to show you guys how this works. So, this will be auto-fillable, which is quite cool. So what happens is that, for example, you don't want to put in the whole command. You don't want to /R 1d20, check your modifier, add the modifier, and you can just do it a lot easier. In 5e, for example, strength saving throw. If you have a proficiency. Let's see where are the strength saving throw. So let's find our saving throws and find that out. What do we have? Our saving throws. Oh, there we go. So this is our saving throw over on here. Depending on the class we choose, which can be added over on here, we'll get to that as well. You can just roll your saving throw from here. See? Strength saving throw. It rolls with 2 because usually in 5e you either have advantage or disadvantage. At this point over on here, we just roll normally, so we only take the first one. You ignore the second one unless you have disadvantage or advantage. Advantage means you take the best one, disadvantage means you take the last one. Chucky, is that the roll modifier above the strength? Yes, that is the roll modifier. So 12 means a +1, 10 is a 0, so no modifier, 8 is a -1. I'm going to put it at 14 over on here to show you that this is a 2. 3 is a -4, and so on. This is the modifier above. Besides that, everything else can be added in. If you have a PHB at hand, Player's Handbook, you can easily understand everything that's written down over on here. Then you just continue on for the character sheet and you fill it out bit by bit, because this is specially made for 5e, so it's made with a PHB in the hand. It's very easy to fill out. All the information that you need is in here. Character sheets are very different, so I'm not going to go through each and every character sheet, and we're not going to do a full tutorial on this character sheet. The only thing that I have to say about character sheets is just study them. Make sure you like the format because you're going to be using for some time. And besides that, just get familiar with the system and you understand the character sheet. However it's framed, if you know the system, you understand the character sheet. Okay, so let's continue on. We have attributes and abilities. This is more of a additional, optional thing. This was made before the character sheet was implemented, but never taken out. So you can get a couple of cool attributes that are actually taken from the character sheet. Some might not give them here. Some character sheets might not work that way. some characters might work this way, some character sheets work this way, and they give you a couple of information from the character sheet and the attributes and abilities. This is quite easy, just add number and that is basically it. This is it. Now in the abilities tab, you have something that you can use as a macro. So for example, let's see, we have a attack. We're going to have a scimitar slash. And now we're gonna roll 1d20 plus 4. Let's see, that is the macro for this. And now we're gonna show this in macro tab. I'm gonna show this as a token action. So whenever we press him, this is our token. Goblin test, scimitar smash, or slash, and it rolls it automatically over on here. I would suggest. My personal suggestion here again, because character sheets are added in, but some of them, in my experience, have rolled numbers that are quite impossible to roll. So the best way to do it, to make sure that it's correct, because it's going to be very hard to look over and in here and figure out exactly what's happening, because usually the numbers are quite bigger, and the parentheses, until you understand them, are going to be a bit hard to understand. The easiest way is to add in your abilities, your most used abilities over and in here. For example, your attack, your saving throw, your potion, for example, if you have potions, or your heals as a spell. And you just do them from your abilities tab over on here, or just add them in the macro tab, which is quite easy. Okay, so that's about it for character sheets in the journal. Let's go see what handouts are. So, handouts are a very cool thing for DMs especially. You can use them to send out cool information to your party. For example, let's say a dark mage is issuing a threat to the party. So he gives them, so they just find this white parchment written in blood. And now you can put that there and prepare it before the session. Nobody's gonna see it, because when you go inside as a DM, you're gonna need to put it in players' characters, in players' journal. So let's say only the goblin finds this note. So that would mean that the players' journals is only the goblin, only me, only Roman. That means that only I will be able to see this in the journal tab. So I'm the only one who finds it. Now it can be edited by maybe if you wanna make your party members be able to change the message if they have the time. You can give them the ability to edit it or not. Now you can either give a description inside and just leave that as the message, or if you have a nice image, you can drop in an image from wherever you want and just say that that is the message, the white parchment written in blood by the necromancer issuing a threat towards the party. This is a pretty neat tool, but at the same time not extremely useful, just something to add flavor. Now you can add a folder as well. Let's say this is going to be our test. So what happens in test is that you can add stuff in like this. Let's say you use this for several other characters, you use this for several other campaigns, and you want to have stuff neatly organized instead of reading all names. Okay, this is the one I want. And you just want to open up Hold of the Dragon Queen, and your characters pop down. That's exactly how it works. Okay, next to know enough that another very nice feature about Roll20 is that you have a jukebox. Again, another flavor thing. What the jukebox has is that you can just add music. You have background, sound effects, and all music. For the purpose of this test, we're only going to search for tabletop audio music, because that doesn't mean my VOD over on here. But you can search for everything you want. So tabletop audio, there we go. So you have all the tabletop audio songs over on here, ambient sounds or music, and you can listen it for yourself and see how it looks. Okay, so now you can hear it, see in the background, and if you like it, you can just add it in, and there is your song. On the part you can see the songs, the playlist, or only the song being played. I remember, if I remember correctly. You can control the sound, loop it or not, and you can also rename it, for example. So because it has just such a big name, and you maybe want to have them alphabetically ordered, you can just do Clash of Kings and just leave it at that. And then you just have it. Enter, and there it is. Clash of Kings. Okay, that's about all of the jukebox. The decks themselves, these are not useful unless you want to use a deck of cards. I have never used one. I've never had the opportunity to use one, but it is here if you're interested in doing something like that. And deal, let's say we play blackjack. Deal 2 cards to Jackie. So let's see, what do we get? We have a 3 and a 4. We are going to hit it again. Let's see, 21. No. For those who don't know how to play blackjack, we need to reach 21. Okay, so that's a 10 and 8. We actually have 21. Yeah, that's pretty fun. We have blackjack over on here, I think. Yeah, no, that's the K, Q, anyways. The rules I used for them is that it's all 10. I'm not very familiar with the blackjack rules, besides you need to reach 21. But that's about it for cards. We're just gonna hide this. And we're gonna hide it there. And let's go for the cogwheel. Okay, we're almost done with the Roll20 tutorial on the assets over on here. This is going to be quite easy. There's nothing much besides the macros that you can use in the abilities tab as well. So you can just add macros over on here. The same thing. You can just add in, again, Scimitar Slash. Everybody can create their own macros. And let's see, 1d20 plus 4. Done. Show as a token action, visible to myself. Let's put it in bar. Again, Scimitar Slash. There we go. The same thing. Exactly the same thing as the other one. Now, you can change your display name. This is a very useful thing as well. Your DM will not always remember all the character names, so it's very good to have, let's see, I'm going to name myself over on here. Crash. Yellow Eye. There we go. That's going to be my character name. I'm going to put Chucky in brackets, just so the other players know that this is you. Because the avatars over on here might be disabled by some people in the game. Let's go into down, and I'll show you the avatars as well. The avatars are in the video player avatar size. You can have them as large, you can have them as regular, small, and names only. This also matters if you are using video and audio on Roll20, because if you just go names only, if a friend enables cameras, you won't be able to see it. Consequently, if you have a bad internet and you don't want to see it, you can disable them from now. So, next in line after this, you have a couple of other features that you can use over on here. Enable background chat beep to tell you that if you're not in here and somebody uses a Scimitar Slash, you can hear that, so you know something just happened. Enable 3D dice if you want to use 3D dice like this. Some people love them, some people hate them. I myself don't necessarily use them. Chat avatars, again, if you want chat avatars. Clear current chat log, this is a DM feature only. And then you have broadcasting. So again, as I mentioned before, Roll20 offers a all-in-one experience. So if you want to go through all of your game without actually using any other software besides Roll20, you can do that. But I would not recommend it, because at the same time, everybody needs to have a good internet, and sometimes I have found that Roll20 tends to be unstable in the video and cameras option. As in, some work, some don't work, and they're not very editable functions. So I would much rather say that if you want to use an inbuilt thing, use Google Hangouts, because it is possible. We're gonna go in the back real fast. You can go into your campaign. Let's find out test campaign. quote-unquote test campaign, and you can launch in Google Hangouts, which is a lot more stable and a lot more fun. Or just use Skype or Zoom, whatever you like. Now, let's go and see our other assets over on here. Now, the most important thing that you need to remember about this is that this is not going to appear for everybody. Your players will not have all of the options in here. But let's talk about the more important ones. We have select and pan view, so if you just want to move the map and not select anything, maybe move it from the map if you are drawing a map and you want to fuck it up. Then you have your layers. So the layers here are quite important. You have the object and tokens layer, which is where my token is right now. You have the map and background, and that is why it's different layers. So you can select that because it is in the token area. And here you can put up your map, your mapping assets. So we're gonna go into our map, I'm pressing the star over on there in our purchases, and go and find something that we want on the background of this goblin. So let's not find a token, let's find a map tile. It's be quite easy. Let's see, for example, let's say we want a bridge, okay? On a bridge over on here. And we don't want it to be on the token layer because we don't want our players to, well, we don't want the DM actually to accidentally delete it or move it out, because if it is in the map, layer, you can't move it from the object and token area. You simply can't. And in the map area, if we now put it into token area, you can move it, and at the same time, it is possible that it might overlap with some of your assets. So it's a lot better to have your map in the background. Okay, so this is how you use your layers. Then you have the GM and info layer. Usually this is a pretty good layer to add in your text. For example, beware. Okay, let's put our writing to white. Beware, troll underneath the bridge. And that's it. Nobody will see it besides you. So this is gonna be in your GM layer. You just post it over on here, and this is a GM note for you. You remember there is a troll underneath the bridge. Okay, and last but not least, dynamic writing. We're not gonna go into this now because this is gonna be done when we start working with dynamic writing, and we're gonna do that by going into a map that's already been made in another campaign. That's gonna be a lot easier to work with. So let's continue on. And we have the draw. We have the draw lines over on here. You have the draw shape, freehand, polygon, and line. This is real easy, so I'm not gonna go into how you do this. The only thing that you need to remember is that in the draw shape, that's not really mentioned, is that if you just normally drag, you're gonna have a square, a rectangle, a square. This is the default shape, but you can also make circles if you want to. Quite good for auras or other types of drawings that you want to do for your group. So we're gonna go into draw shape. Just keep the column. We're gonna press Control now. Now, when you press sorry, not Control. When you press Alt, you get a circle. So this is not pressing anything, just your left mouse button. This is with pressing Alt on the keyboard and your mouse button, and now we get circles. Besides that, you have your color as well. You can fill it up. So if you want to put up a red inside and a green outside and make a circle like this, you can just do it this way. Quite easy. You can change this around and make it only red. Just have fun with it. This is stuff that is quite instinctual as you go through it. Let's go next. We have a couple of this is again, I think, only a DM mentor feature that you can use a couple of effects. Quite cool effects to use on the map. Explosions, burns, dragon breaths, and fireballs. Pretty fun, but only fluff. Nothing too important to the game overall. Now this is your zoom tab. I would say use the zoom tab rather than using your control and scroll and your alt and scroll wheel, because it's a lot easier. So you just go into your control over on here and start fidgeting around however much you want to see or however close or far away. Next, we have the rhino and this is named something. This is lure. Okay, that's it. You have your lure. So this you can just measure on the map. Maps can be different. They're not maxed out at however big this is, 100 and something feet over on here. So if we go into and zoom out a bit to see the whole map, we have 120 feet. You can make it bigger. I'm going to go into that again when we do dynamic writing and map features. Okay, next in line we have Fog of War. So the Fog of War is another feature. You can either use dynamic writing or Fog of War. Again, we're going to do that in the map. So we're going to skip that a bit right now and continue on with the turn order. So the turn order is a cool feature for your players to know who's next in the combat. So for example, let's say that we are fighting a very many amount of kobolds. If you wish to roll in all of the kobolds initiative and make them different, then it's going to be a lot easier using the turn order. You just right click them and just click act turn, and they're going to appear over on here. Remember that until the DM presses the turn order, nobody else is going to see it. And let's just add in initiative. So we're going to say that we rolled it for them, and we just add it in and press the cogwheel over on here and sort it by the ascending, ascending, A to Z, whatever we want. So we're going to descending because that's usually what you use with the highest initiative to the lowest initiative. So Goblin is going to be first. As it goes on, people are going to be able to see who's next, which is going to be a lot easier for your players to figure out when their turn is and when they need to do something, instead of just standing there and wondering, oh shit, I forgot my initiative, what was I at? This is going to be a lot easier for your players. So you just press this arrow and the turn order goes and the same sorting option that you went through. Okay, and that is about it. This is the dice roller, the three-dimensional dice roller if you want to use them. Besides that, or the dice roller does not necessarily have 3 dimensions. It also has the RAS 10 dice, which is very nice to use if you have a monster with a couple of specific attacks and you don't want to use you don't have the monster manual open at that monster necessarily. You have another couple of monsters in the map, so you're gonna have the dragon, and you know what he does. We have a couple of kobolds, we have a flaming skull, and we don't know the attacks of everything, but the DM usually rolls the attacks, and that's kind of it on all opposed rolls. And you can find all the RAS rolls over on here, and you can reroll them quite easily. Okay, and that's about it for the assets on this side of the map. So now let's go and talk about map assets. This is where it gets interesting and a bit more complicated. So the map assets can be found over on here, so the page toolbar. If you press this button, all the maps are going to appear here. You can create a new map by pressing the create new page. And let's go and see what we can do with the page settings. So the page can be bigger, as I said. You can make it bigger from here. I suggest usually staying with the same size and using the scale actually to convey the scale of your map, but you can do it whatever way you want. For this test, let's just say that our map is meant to be a bit bigger. So let's give one unit, so one of these squares, 10 feet instead of 5. Now the page settings, you can change the background over here, the background color. If you want it transparent, if you want it white, if you want anything you want, you can just add it in there. Any color that you can find here, or just actually type it in. Besides that, you can enable the grid. There are a couple of grids that you can use. I suggest not really fucking with it unless you want something specific. Hex, V, or age. We have opacity. Again, this is the opacity for the lines on the side. So if you don't want them to be seen too much, you go opacity very low. And we'll go over on here and see. Our map opacity is very low. It's transparent. There's no background. Go back. Now we can see this. The lines cannot be seen because the opacity is too big. So let's put up the opacity big. Yep. Now we have a map. Let's just go white so we can see the map easier. Oh, There we go. And that's the map. Now, let's see Fog of War and Dynamic Lightning. This is where it gets interesting. So, Fog of War. Now we're going to jump into a different campaign. And we're actually going to jump into... Access to dev server. Again, this is not a dev server thing. Though Fog of War and Dynamic Lightning is something that you can only use if you have a mentor account, if I am correct. Let's jump into our Gems of Power campaign. Because we have a couple of maps made in here with Dynamic Lightning, and we can see how those look like. Now, let's jump into the crypt entrance over on here. So this is how the crypt looks like. And this is how Dynamic Lightning will work. Let us take out the things that we don't need over on here. And this is where you guys saw the last party. This is what you saw last time. And we're gonna use one of the characters who has light, that being Neo's character, Reginald. Now, Reginald can only be seen by Neo and me. Why I did that is that I will be joining the campaign as a player in just a couple of seconds to show you the vision that Neo has of the map. Okay, so inside, you can see this light over on here to the background. That's where he sees good, and this is dim lightning. You can easily see it if you really concentrate just a bit. You'll see the dim lightning and the normal lightning. It can be edited over on in the advanced settings, and you have all players see light, all players has sight. So if you want to use the players seeing the light that Reginald is making with his light spell, then you want to press the all players see light. And if you want to give him sight, because you might have, for example, a blind character. I've seen campaigns played by blind characters, so you might not want to give him a sight or not. And then we have the emit light and how many feet. Remember, the how many feet you use over on here will reflect what the scale of your map is. So again, remember that if you enable 10 feet over on here, now because he has a sight of 20 feet, Reginald is only going to be able to see 2 squares away, not 4. See how that went a bit smaller? I'm going to put that back to 5 because that is the scale of the map. And that's how he sees normally. Now, you can enable Dynamic Lightning from over on here, and force line of sight and Dynamic Lightning enabled. This is what you kind of want to use usually. These options over on here, I don't suggest really working with because they're not that important. But you can if you want to. They're pretty easy to explore, and if you enable them, you'll figure out quite easily what they do. Besides that, you have the Fog of War. So, again, the Fog of War is a completely different thing that you can use on your map. It's a lot harder to use as a DM, so I usually suggest using Dynamic Lightning. But for the purpose of this tutorial, let's see what the Fog of War looks like. So, we now enable the Fog of War in the map. With the options in the Fog of War over in here, we can reveal areas. For example, areas of the map that the party knows. Or we can polygon reveal areas. Let's say we want to reveal only the path, and you can't really do that with a square. You don't want to reveal the you don't want to reveal the river over in here, the lake. Sorry, you just want to reveal this small path. Done. This is revealed. Now you can hide as well. Or if you've revealed too much in the map and you're too lazy to hide, you can just reset the fog. The party will see absolutely nothing. This is black. So let me just drop the player tag over in here, and I'll show you how they see it. As Fog of War, they see absolutely nothing. This is completely black. Nothing. Until the DM reveals something. Now, if we go back and rejoin as a DM and reveal something, they will be able to see it. Now the same goes for the black areas in Dynamic Lightning. They will not be able to see anything outside of the Dynamic Lightning sight that you have. So let's disable the Fog of War, and Oh, another specific thing about Roll20 that I forgot to mention is you have a prayer tag over on here that you can just change your prayers from map to map. You drag it around. Also, if you have specific prayers, for example, myself, I'm going to drag myself in here. You can, for example, let's say somebody goes away from the party and takes a completely different path. And he wants to go in the right path of the dungeon, not the left path of the dungeon. So you can just drag him in from here and add him to the other side of the dungeon that you want to. Hey Shane, welcome everybody. Again, remember we're currently doing a Roll20 tutorial, so if you want to ask anything about Roll20, feel free. I'm gonna try and answer it to the best of my knowledge. Okay, so let's continue on, and I'm gonna show you a bit more about dynamic lightning. So now this is a bit of a spoiler, so don't watch that. Crypt tensions. There we go. Perfect. So we're gonna join as a prayer. So I'm gonna show you how exactly they see in dynamic lightning and how they're able to move. Dej, yes, very good point. I will show that as well. So this is how dynamic lightning works. Okay, you can see Reginald moving over on in here, and if he moves out, for example, let's move Bjorn. Bjorn moves out, and he's now currently in darkness. People don't see him. I see him because he's added in the. You can see. I can have sight of him. But for example, let's say Finwazi moves out, which I don't have control of. But if I move out, line of sight, I can't see her anymore. So this is it. I thought Shenanigan's character creation was happening in the HB time slot. Yes, that is what I'm aware of as well. Oh, not this week, Shane. Next week. The assets are not completely done for Shenanigans, so that's why we're not doing Shenanigans this week. We're gonna be doing it next week. You can check it in the schedule. It's right there. Okay, so continue on back again. This is dynamic lightning. I'm going to show you how to enable it, how to draw it in, how you see these, how you make these black walls over on in here, and these things that seem three-dimensional. Okay, I'm going to show you the ping, how to ping as a DM. Okay, so we're going to be joining as the DM, and let's say that the party is just barely in the map and they have absolutely no idea where the fuck is everybody. So you're gonna you press shift, and then you hold left click. See how that did? See how that moved the center of my screen? That's what happens. It moves the center of everybody's screen to the point you have pinged. That's about it with the DM ping. It's very useful to show like this specific thing what I'm talking about. And for those wondering, yes, this is a snapshot of a map I have done for Honor Bound. And instead of recreating it completely, I just wanted to. So this is how you kind of take a map from another Roll20 campaign and add it to another one, because it doesn't really work. They don't have a feature to import maps if you're using it in another campaign. So how I did it is that I just opened it up, I zoomed out a bit, and just did a snapshot and added it in through the upload option over on in here. That's why you see, for example, this name tag over on in there, because that was my name tag as I was taking the picture. Now, let me show you how you make the dynamic lightning. So we're gonna go in the overlay asset over on here. So we're gonna dynamic lightning. Now, you cannot import maps. That is not a feature yet on Roll20. So at the time I'm making this video, this is more of a YouTube video. At the time I'm making this video, there is no map importing features. No. Not even as a mentor, there is no feature to do that. Now, let's see in dynamic lightning. So you see these black bars around here. These are all drawn by me to enable the dynamic lightning. So these are the walls of the cave. They can't see past the walls of those caves. So that's why I draw exactly on the walls of those caves. For example, let's say that you have a pillar somewhere in the cave that you want them to see on the other side of it. We're gonna go into the draw option over on here. You can do polygon line or draw shape. again, and let's say we want a jaw shape, and this is going to be, this rock over on here is very big, so we're going to put a small pillar over under. So you see how in just a couple of seconds this has been added in, and you can see the shadow cast by it. So this rock, they know this rock is big. They know they can't see past this rock because it's big. It's like a column big. It's a stagnite and stalactite united. And that's how you use it. You can either draw a shape, or you can use your polygon and the dynamic grinding to enable this and make up the shadows. This is also a cool feature because you can also add like enemies over in here, the tokens, so you don't need to add them on the map. You can add them away from the map and add them in when you need them. Now, besides that, that's about all about dynamic grinding. I would suggest, again, using dynamic grinding besides Fog of War. It's a lot easier. I know it's a lot easier to use Fog of War because you just need to enable it and then just reveal. But overall, just taking the 10 minutes to make a dynamic grinding pattern for a new map is just a lot better, and your party will deeply appreciate it. That is something different. I believe that is something different. I have looked into forum pages and the mentor forums, and I have not seen a option to do that yet. I've seen copies, so you can copy over. For example, you can copy a campaign, and then the only user in the campaign is going to be you. And you have like Honor Bound 1, Honor Bound 2, and Honor Bound 2 is the copy of Honor Bound 1. In Honor Bound 1 we have Neil, Justin, myself, and Ryan. And Honor Bound 2 is a copy campaign by me, the DM, and there's only me. And I have all the maps in there, for example. Okay, so that's about all of this dynamic grinding feature. And now I'm going to show you how to use your assets and maps. So we're going to go over in here, and in the map background. So you guys can see this is the map background that I've used for this. This is the background itself. These are all individual tiles added in together. Now, first, let me show you how we get those. I've already shown you how to use the tokens, maps, tiles, and portraits. So I'm going to show you how to use the marketplace. In the marketplace, it's quite simple. You have a lot of different assets. Another thing to remember here is whatever you buy in the assets, you can also download to use. For example, you print it out and use it in your normal campaigns, like live campaigns. Let's see dungeon blanks, dungeon arts. I actually think we have this. Yes, we have this. This is about, I think, $5, but let's take an example that I do not have. So let's go Old World map set. This is the map set that I've used to make the map you just saw a couple of seconds ago. And I don't have the underground, for example. Let's look at the underground. They're quite cheap. They're really cheap, and they have, usually all of them are pretty good map assets. They give you a lot of art for quite a small price. And all of these are made especially so that you can add them together in Roll20 to convey a very good image. This is an example of how a map using all of the tiles that you can see over in here looks like. And you can make all of this with an individual. So jump back and show you that. This is all made with individual tiles. We have the background tiles, and then we have in the token tiles. Wait, what did I do here? I've done something bad. I'm gonna press Ctrl Z, because Ctrl Z just takes it back. And we're gonna go into all objects and tokens. Yes, that's another nice feature if you fuck up, but this is a normal Microsoft, my normal Windows thing that you should know. If you fuck up and you just put this in here and oh shit, I can't take it because there's so many stuff in there, what do I do? Control Z, and it goes back. These are all individual tiles, as I said, and they blend in quite nicely together. So I'm gonna show you, let's go zoom in on a 50% here, and I'm gonna show you how these blend in here very nicely. So we have the hills, see? We're gonna take them out one by one, and we're gonna use them as that. And they blend in completely very well. These are usually the best ones you want to use in your campaigns, the ones that blend in well to environment. But at the same time, there are a couple that don't. So be sure to check out the artist and know that he's done a lot more artwork for Roll20 and good reviews from the ones who have bought them. and that's usually what you should know and all that you need to know for making a Roll20 map. Just find the good assets and play with them. This was, if you, for example, if you talk to Crab Taco, because he was actually one of the players who, while I was doing this, was seeing what I was doing. It looks very bad at the beginning because it's only one tile, another tile, one tile, another tile. Just making it all the way through and not giving up is going to give you a good map. Now, most of the maps are going to have, you have to decide between two things. Do you want to use a grid or do you not want to use a grid? A grid is usually pretty good for the map. If you want to have them fit in together like this, they're going to drop in together in the specific places and you don't have to move them around one by one. Even in a grid map, you can move them easily around to fit them together. For example, this one over on here doesn't blend in. Okay, see you later, Kinoax. Thanks for stopping by. This one doesn't blend in exactly as I want to. That tree over on there is on the road, so I'm gonna press Alt, and I'm gonna drag it around like this. I'm gonna make it perfect. Now we can see the road, we can see the forest, it's all good. Now you can just normally do that without pressing Alt if you go into the page toolbar and you disable the grid. The grid is gonna disappear and everything that you move around is going to just move around and not pop into place somewhere. Now I personally prefer the grid. Even though it looks better like this, I personally prefer the grid because it's easier to make maps with the grid. Okay, so now that I've shown you maps, I've shown you how to use the grid, I've shown you how to use dynamic writing and everything else. Everything else that I need to show you is just how to actually drop in your tiles and a couple of advices that I personally find to help me while I create a map. So let's say you just bought a map token of the old world style, the same one you just seen in the map, and you want to use it. So let me show you how you use that. You go into your purchases and you start scrolling down. Let's find the old world map set. Okay, there we are. This is the old world map set. This is the city map set, and let's just say that we want to make a small city. So let's find the background first. Okay, there we have the background. Let's make a small city process. We're gonna have a fountain over on in there. Have a couple of stalls. Add those in. And this is one of the advices that I would say everybody that wants to make a map on Roll20. Drag in everything that you have that you want to use, because Roll20 doesn't have a very good optimization with their purchases. Assets over on in here. You can add tags to them so you can find them easier, but overall they don't have tags, so they're only ordered not alphabetically or by the name of the asset itself, but they're actually ordered through the number of assets you've bought. So you've bought that asset first, that's going to be down on the line. You bought another asset, that's going to be all the tokens from that map token or token bundle is going to be above it. So you need to scroll down a lot. That's why it's a lot easier to add in everything that you want. So now let's make this a bit bigger and start making the background. Now the background is usually just in the back. Yes, you can also make the grid invisible. That is correct. You can make the grid invisible by just lowering the opacity right here. And the grid is going to be indivisible, it's still going to be there. In this map, for example, specifically why I use the grid is if you look over in here, there's gonna be a couple of not so nice blendings. So right on the corners, right here, for example, they don't blend that nicely. And if you disable the grid, it's completely obvious. It's very obvious. But with the grid, it looks just a bit better. So that's in that map specifically. That is why I use the grid. Now, again, what I would suggest is playing around with these until you feel familiar with them and use them to your heart's content. put this into the map grid real fast and just copy a couple of them here. Steam notification, Pipimbo sorters. Yes, it will be done. I will added a couple of shows in today. I'll tell the moderators to add the Steam notifications. So we have the small stall over on here in the back. That's gonna be just your regular city plaza with a lot of merchants trying to sell their wares, tents, people, literally just trying to make a few bucks. Quite easy depending on your scale. You can make them bigger or smaller. You can turn them around by using this over on here to whatever angle you want. And this is your small regular city plaza. Very simple to make, very easy to make. Not extremely stylish, but you can make that work. You can make it a lot more stylish if you work on it. So the more work you put in your map, I'm gonna guarantee it that it's gonna look better and better. Okay, so is there a merchant trying to obsessively marry off his daughter? Maybe Shane. Who knows? You're the DM. You make up the story. Okay, so that's about it for our map creating and Roll20 control. I don't see anything else that we would want to do. Again, I'll take questions from chat. So if you have any questions about Roll20, anything specific about Roll20, like how does this work? How does that work? Karatis, you can fuck around with that until you feel good with it, even if it doesn't look centered. So because it doesn't look centered, because the grid is still enabled but it's invisible, you can just alt-click it and do it with your own Y. Oh, it looks a bit better. Now it's right in the middle. No, almost in the middle. Maybe a bit more moved. Something like that. You can just do that with just pressing Alt and moving it around. Okay, anything else that you guys want to ask? Feel free. Okay, good suggestion from our chat. Good suggestion. No other questions? Okay, no problem. So I don't have I've actually already made all the maps for the Gems of Power. So you can see them here: the Crypt, the Sanctum, the Crypt Trial, the Crypt Trial 1, the Crypt Hallway. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not gonna go into because they're gonna be spoilers for the show. So I'm not gonna give out any spoilers yet. I'm gonna just look over the map and go over a couple of other features that I may have forgotten. And until then, if you have any questions, feel free. For example, this is a already made campaign, so you can see what I was talking about in the jukebox. I've made them all have a simple name, so you can easily find the song that you're looking for. And if over in here, you have the character sheets visible to me, all of them, but not all of them visible to all of the players, only your particular ones. For example, we have Beyond Iron Fist. This is, for example, this description of Beyond Iron Fist. The player can edit this. The GM notes are empty, but he can't see them. And the character sheet itself is a bit different from the one you used as an example, because the shaped one, the one you used as an example, did not exist at the time that we were making characters for. The Gems of Power. So now, this is a bit different character sheet, a bit bigger. Again, you have the version of one here. I think 10th of April was the version of the other one. Okay, so no other questions. Yeah, that was about it for what I wanted to stream today. Just make a small YouTube video with the how to use Roll20. These are all the features that I can think of that could be useful for a potential DM or even a player to know. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will be jumping out right now, and I'll see you tomorrow, I think. What do we have? Do you have anything tomorrow? No, so the schedule is down below, you can find it there. Monday, yes, we have Pinball Storytellers with our guest Distracted Elf. The timer is over in there, 22 GMT plus 3. Again, hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I am going to see you later. Bye bye.